Hi, good morning. We're here with Peter Reynolds from Nezuban. How are you doing, Peter?
Hi, I'm really good, thank you. How are you today?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Thanks very much for joining us and agreeing to do the interview. So I'm excited to learn more about what it is you do and how long you've been doing it for and that kind of thing. So yeah, if you'd like to give us a little bit of an introduction as to who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for, please.
So I'm Peter. I'm one of the three founders of Nezuban, and we started, I'd say, about 6 months ago at this point. And what we did is we essentially sat down and we was talking amongst ourselves one day because we play games like Dungeons and Dragons, etc. And we came across this problem where we have so many characters and nowhere to keep them all together. And then we realized that it wasn't just this that was a problem. We also had the same problem with things like Magic the Gathering or books, because I have a home library that I've now set up, and tracking all of the things became an absolute nightmare. So we essentially, the three of us sat down and went, what can we do about this? Can we make something to fix this? So we made something for ourselves, and then it kind of dawned on us that we can't be the only people with these problems. So we went out, we started asking around to see if this was just us or if this was a wider problem. And then that's kind of how this all came together and started. So the three of us then said, okay, well, in that case, let's do something about this and let's start giving other people the chance to do this. So we found very quickly that a lot of people write things down in lists. A lot of people put things together in big post-it notes, or they have spreadsheets on computers, and it's all over the place. And when you lose one, it's suddenly gone. So that's essentially where we came from. So we're now a very new startup. We are due to launch in the next month and a half sort of time for our main product. So we're very new to the scene as a whole, but really looking forward to progressing and growing with this.
Fantastic. So what actually is the product then in a bit more detail? How do you solve the problem of lists and spreadsheets and stuff like that all over the place?
So our product, or our primary product anyway, is a collection management tool. So everyone has something that they collect somewhere out in the world. It could be tools, it could be books, it could be makeup, as one of our testers uses. It could be trading cards, stamps, anything you can think of. Some people even collect cars. I know that's a pretty big collection, but some people do. So you've got to have somewhere you can put them. So our product is all about being able to say, I have a collection. What is in my collection? So this is a collection of stamps. And then inside collections, you will add items. The items say 1 penny stamp here, 2 penny stamp here, a special event commemoration stamp here. And then you can put tags against those stamps. So I could say that this item is a commemorative stamp. This item is a common stamp. This item is a UK stamp. This item is a US stamp. And then you can filter through your collections based on the tags that you assign against things. So if I'm looking for all of my commemoration stamps, I can just hit commemoration stamps in my tags and it will show all of the commemorations I've got. If I want to search by collection, you can hit the collection tab and it will show you all the items inside that given collection. So another example would be cars. If I was a car dealership, I could look for blue cars and list all of my blue cars. I could look for all of my Toyotas and list all of my Toyotas. But it doesn't just have to be that sort of big category. You can also use it for things like value tracking. How much did I pay for it? How much is it currently valued? So you can enter the current value of the item as you know it into a field, and that field will be tracked with the item. So if you then come back and say, I want to know everything that I paid more than £10 for, you can filter by how much you paid for it, and it will track in. And all of these different fields are optional fields that you can plug into different items. Like, I want to know the value of my Magic the Gathering trading cards, and it will tell you the value of your total collection based on what you've put into the field. So it can be used by collectors, it can be used by small businesses, medium businesses, even large businesses if they really want to, like a small inventory management system. But it can also be used by regular common people like myself who come in and go, I've got like 50 books and I have no idea where I have left my cookbook. Flick, location. Okay, cool, it's on the kitchen table. Found it.
So you it's a piece of software, is that right? In terms of digitization of
Yes.
where you left stuff. If you've left something, say on the kitchen table, but you put into your piece of software that this is where I store it, or when you put it in that place. Okay. got you, just to get full understanding on in it. So interesting. So is there anything like this elsewhere in terms of when doing the research for the business?
So we found a couple of different offerings which other businesses offer, but they're all very specialist offerings. For example, one of our competitors is Labib, who offers a library service where you can put books and DVDs in, which is great if you're only looking at tracking books and DVDs, but doesn't work if you have something like a tool collection. Many people have tools in their shed. There is nothing out there that tracks tools. We found one generic collection program, but when we looked into it to see more about what they did, we found that the price point was in the hundreds of pounds a month, which is completely beyond anyone reasonably to afford. You're looking at serious collectors or businesses only for that. So for people like you and myself, there isn't really anything else that fills this niche. It's all notepads, spreadsheets, and tidbits that you store on your phone as and when you need to track things.
Cool. So in terms of the journey to date and that kind of 6 months pre-starting, how's that been for you so far? What would you describe it as?
In a word, manic. So no one really tells you or gives you anything about starting your own business and what it's like. Whenever we've asked experienced business owners, what can you tell us about our first ever startup venture? They've always said, well, you register on company's house and that's it. You've got a business, you're ready to go, which is great. I understand if you know what you're doing, and that's probably enough information for a lot of people, but they don't tell you about things like tax returns, registering VAT numbers, all of the things where you can go to an accountant and get an accountant to do it, which is what we've done, but they don't tell you that you have to do these things, only just go and register your business. So it's been a very manic few months finding all of the stuff we need to do to set up a business and get everything off of the ground. And then on the actual product side, there's myself and one of my partners, Rich, who doing main development for this, has been putting it all together in a way that it's applicable for everybody. Things like translations. I never realized just how hard it is to get a translation for common phrases, but it really is quite difficult actually. So putting in things like that and localizing things so that if someone from the US connects and someone from the UK connects, they get the correct localization for the word color, because we have U's and they don't have U's. So making sure that all of this hooks up has been really manic, but it's been a really fun challenge to do at the same time, because it's a sort of thing that we didn't foresee being a problem. We thought the hard part was going to be spreading the word of the product and getting people to sign on. But there's so much behind the scenes as well that no one tells you about, which is really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But so busy.
Yeah. Good stuff. So what does the future look like for you at the moment? And what do you see as the main challenges going ahead?
So the future for me is going to be pretty busy. So for a bit of context, I'm currently in the last stretch of my dissertation for my master's degree. Down cat. So I finished submitting that in about a week and a half. So once I'm done with that, I'll be fully qualified for cybersecurity. So then it's going to be setting up all the remainder of that inside our business and putting all of that in, ready in time for our launch in a month or so's time, or the hopeful launch in a month or so's time. So far, we have everything together product-wise. We have one bug that we're hunting down, but everyone has a bug somewhere. But the bug we have, again, comes down to this you versus no you, because when you register for a program, you say, I'm from the US or I'm from the UK, which is great. We can give you the correct localization, but what if they don't tell us where they're from? Then we have to use lookups from their IP address to say which region you're located in, and VPNs make this a real pain. Because if someone connects from the UK with a US VPN, they get no U's in their color. Fun bugs.
Yeah.
Once we've done with that, it's going to be a case of marketing and spreading the word as best we can, and then hoping that people feel passionate enough about the things that they have that they don't realize they collect to join in.
Cool. So in the short time that you've been doing this, what would be the biggest lesson that you've learned to date?
Ask for help. Now, It's really difficult because I do a lot of reading before I start any task. I make sure I've done as much research in as I physically can into something. But a lot of the things that you find, as I said earlier, are things that people know about but don't talk about. So it's worth going to coaches, it's worth going to free seminars that you find online and asking, treat me like I'm 5 and tell me, what do I do to do this? Because the information that some people have that they don't realize they have is so helpful and so useful.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. My apologies. The
That's all
downside
right.
of having set up a smart home is that sometimes you just get chimes out of the corner of your ear.
That's all right.
So yeah, for me, it would be ask for help, reach out, network with people. A lot of business owners, I always thought when I was just an employee, were basically unobtainable. They're like up on a pillar where you see them with their successful businesses and you're like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
And the reality is that as long as you're not their employee, most of them will happily sit down with coffee with you and talk through all sorts that they've learned.
Yeah, I think you're fine. Yeah, it's a good lesson, and everybody needs help and advice, no matter who they are. And plenty of people have made the mistakes that they're giving advice off the back of experience. So it's a great thing to reach out and understand that you can't kind of do it alone, and to get the advice of people who've been there, done it, and are still trying to be there and doing it. It's never a finished thing in terms of business ownership side of stuff. Good share. Thank you very much. So in terms of a piece of advice, again, that you could offer if you were to start out again, perhaps, or somebody else going into business, from what you're experiencing at the moment, what piece of advice would that be?
So the piece of advice I would give out is kind of twofold. The first is, if you're looking at a digital service, so not a physical product production, the cost estimates that you will find are basically garbage. Most places that say you need this much money to start up a business is all about being able to source materials and source physical products. It's not the same in a digital space. Instead, if you look at things like the Microsoft Action Pack, which as a small business you can sign up for immediately, and it's like £400-500 for a year, and that will give you all of the licensing you really need to be able to start off your products. Looking at options like servers, SQLs, all the different licenses, a lot of them offer free or cheap for startup businesses, so it's not as daunting as it first appears. That is probably the biggest advice I would offer back. But along the same line, anyone who tells you you can start up a business for £12 is wrong. You might be able to register a business for £12, but I don't think you could realistically get a business for £12 and do something with it. You don't need as much as people say, but it is definitely not £12.
Good advice. Thank you for sharing that. In terms of inspiration, then, got an understanding of your reason for setting up the company when it came to having a personal use or desire for the product that you're creating. What inspiration do you use to, I suppose, continue on, or to develop it into a business? Could be friends, family, the people that you're working with, the things that you read or listen to, in terms of using inspiration to be doing what you're doing right now?
So I have 3 main inspirations. The first one is the nicest and most positive. With my family, we have a lot of things we collect. We're all really bad hoarders. And it's really nice to be able to see the look on their face when they say, do you know where the blah is? And I'm like, yes, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Because that's constant reassuring that this is a good thing, it's working, and that people like it. Or seeing my friends pulling out the app and flicking through and going, yep, I know where this is. That's instant validation for me that this is something people want and this is worth keeping going for. My second validation is one of my darker motivations. It's purely petty revenge that I can succeed at this. So for context, when I was very, very young, there was a teacher in my life who was not very positive. And she basically said to our entire class that you will never achieve anything. So in true petty maliciousness, I'm going to achieve something. I will get this done so that at the end, I can hold my head up and say, no, I did do something and this is working. And it sounds silly, but the good and the bad kind of weigh nicely together in keeping me going. Because when it gets really, really hard, I remember that they told me I couldn't, and I know that I can. And when it's going really, really well, and I look around and see everyone happy and using the product, I'm like, no, this is good. This is worth continuing with. So I get both of those.
Yeah.
And my third motivation is that meeting people like yourself, to me, gives me a reason to do this, because now that we're in post-COVID and it's a combination between working from home, working in office, etc., networking is getting harder and harder for some people. Now, I primarily network digitally. I'm a gamer as a hobby, so I spend a lot of time with people, but networking out to people who aren't in that sort of digital ecosystem is very difficult. So it's really nice for me to be able to meet people like yourself that I usually wouldn't come across, or other business owners, where I can sit down with a coffee with someone and say, hi, nice to meet you, because this is new and different.
Yeah.
So those are pretty much what keeps me going.
Enriching your experience of life through your business, and having the opportunity to do that is, it's good. And likewise, doing these interviews, and for me, for us to be able to meet people like you and understand your journey and what you're going on and what you intend to do, it's really interesting. So thank you. So in terms of, lastly, any latest news around, the latest news is obviously the launch and what you're up to, but if there's a website or anything like that, anywhere we can go to find some more information, or just to get in touch with you, feel free to share that.
So if you want to visit us at nezuban.com, you'll find our primary webpage with our public facing website, and as soon as the product launches, there'll also be a sign up link there for you to be able to step through to the Hoard, where you'll be able to see your actual collections and start collecting your own things, along with a potential sneak peek at our future coming product that we are currently designing and working around as well, which is nice. If you want to reach out to us on social medias, we have Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a LinkedIn. Again, it's Nezuban UK, so you'll be able to find us on the same handle across them all. Consistency is key. It's one thing I've learned. But that's pretty much it. We're really looking forward to opening the doors and letting people come in and also use this.
Exciting times. I wish you all the best with it, Peter, and we'll keep a lookout as to how it goes. And thank you very much for your time.
Yep, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.